Welcome dear friends, Jerome here. How to become multimillionaire in 7 steps. Take a look at this finding of Dun and Bradstreet. Of the small businesses that fail, 90% do so because of lack of skills and knowledge on the part of the owner. While it raised the sound question, is business building investing about what we know or what we don't know? Further, to really understand successes and analyze them, we need to study the traits in failures. Consider the following thought experiment, borrowed from the world-renowned professional statistician Nicholas Taleb. Numerous studies of multimillionaires aim at figuring out the skills required for hotshots follow the following methodology. They take a population of hotshots, those with big titles, big jobs, and study their attributes. They look at what those big guns have in common: courage, risk-taking, optimism, and so on, and infer that these traits, most notably risk-taking, help you become successful. You will also get the same impression if you read CEOs ghostwriting autobiographies or attended their presentation to founding MBA students. Now take a look at the symmetry. It is quite difficult to do so because people who fail do not seem to write memoirs, and even if they did, those business publishers I know will not even consider giving them the courtesy of a return phone call, as to return email fugitive. Readers will not pay $26.95 for a story of failure, even if you convinced them that it had more useful tricks than a story of success. The entire notion of biography is grounded in the arbitrary ascription of a causal relation between specified traits and subsequent events. Now, consider the symmetry. The graveyard of bankrupt, failed person will be full of people who share the following traits: courage, risk-taking, optimism, etc. Just like the population of multimillionaires. There may be some difference in skills, but what truly separates the two is for the most part a single factor: luck, plain luck. Why luck? Well, because the large share of the successful winner is tied to matters that lie outside the winner himself, namely extrinsic attributes such as social contagion, cumulative advantage, information cascade, collaboration, we name it. By the way, I am not saying it's all about luck. Skills are necessary, and a lot of people have those skills. Very few succeed widely. So to succeed widely, you need necessary skill and a lot of luck. Why is luck invisible to us? Well, because we humans have a propensity to analyze and explain successes by focusing on the piece itself or the person himself, and we forget the symmetry of silent evidence of bankrupt people who have the same intrinsic attributes. Why luck? Well, because the large share of the successful winner is tied to matters that lie outside the winner himself, namely extrinsic attributes such as social contagion, cumulative advantage, information cascade, collaboration, we name it. By the way, I am not saying it's all about luck. Skills are necessary, and a lot of people have those skills. Very few succeed widely. So to succeed widely, you need necessary skill and a lot of luck. Why is luck invisible to us? Well, because we humans have a propensity to analyze and explain successes by focusing on the piece itself or the person himself, and we forget the symmetry of silent evidence of bankrupt people who have the same intrinsic attributes. You do not need a lot of thought experiment to figure out this. A simple thought experiment suffices to debunk the fallacy of scandal of prediction that pervades out there. Let's say you collect randomly or an assorted population in terms of less skilled, highly skilled ex ante of 1,000 publishers, and then universal writers, thinkers, business owners, you name it. And every year you fire half of them who are losers, leaving the winners, and thus end up with long-term steady winners. Since you do not observe the symmetry, keep in mind that it is a random thought experiment. After 5 years, you have roughly 31 spurious multimillionaires winners, just by luck. Of course, an explanation will be readily provided that the success of the lucky survivor, he works between 80 to 100 hours a week, he has passion for what he does, he take a lot of risks and so forth. Yes, with by the mechanism of retrospective determinism, we will find the cause. Actually, we need to see the cause, and the most surprising part is that we completely forget that it was random. Now, well, after the fact, we always feed back explanation to random data. Be careful, I am assuming this is in a random world. In a world that is not random, it doesn't change too much. The number of multimillionaires. All this to say we are more likely to look back at the traits of those who have survived. We are not looking at the symmetry of flops who have the same attribute that did not lead to success. Yes, we human, we have the inability to prospectively predict it before the fact, and a strong ability to retrospectively predict after the fact, which give us the illusion of understanding success and therefore to be able to predict the next one. Hence, Steve Jobs quotes, again, we cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future. Stay hungry, stay foolish. What I'm talking about here is hindsight bias derived from the confirmation bias and used as foresight. Yes, we tend to focus on what we know and we scorn what we don't know, namely the unknown. Except our enemies or competitors focus on what we don't know. Whereas the real value of a library lies in the books you haven't read, not in the one you have read. The former is fragile, the latter is robust. Meaning, what I mean by that is that what we know is usually fragile, and what we don't know is usually robust when we end up knowing what we don't know. Now, the key question here is how you want to know what you don't know, and are you in a hurry to find out the most crucial ingredient? By the way, what we think we understand is heavily marked with psychological narrative and confirmation bias. Seemingly, most entrepreneurs, startups, discover venture capitalists, decision makers, those who advise them, executive senior management, public administrator, management consultant, organization development professional, and business educator still act today upon the straitjacket plan, hence devoid to optionality. Most of them miss the point that the essence of research or investment lies in the unknown unknowns. Let me repeat this again. Most of them miss the point that the essence of research or investment lies in the unknown unknowns. By the way, I suspect the most successful businesses are precisely those that know how to work around inherent unpredictability and ultimately exploit it. As Dave McGraw defined a startup, has a company that is confused about what is the product, who its customers are, how to make money. As soon as it figures out all three things, it ceases to be a startup and then become a real business. Hence, we have the aspect of randomness, uncertainty linked to any business to begin with. This is what the legendary successful screenwriter William Goldman shouted. Nobody knows anything in relation to prediction. You may scratch your head and ask yourself, how could he be so successful? Well, he knew that he could not predict individual events, but he was well aware that the unpredictable, namely a movie turning into a blockbuster, will benefit him immensely. Moreover, we humans inhabit simultaneously two worlds, namely the mediocritan and the extremistan. The mediocritan is characterized by the collection of the regular. In another word, the regular count. In another word, the average of a large sample becomes stable and no single outlier can impact the total. I give you an example. Frequent daily sales, people on salaries, a dentist is operating in mediocritan. Now, the extremistan is characterized by the outlier or the exception that dominate. In another word, it is how much the exception has impact on the total, on the entire on the entire whole. I give you an example. Infrequent huge sell, a bestseller. You have a lot of affiliates, and among them, one of them turn out to represent 99% of your profit. Now, the Procrustean bed of modernity is squeezing extremistan, meaning the non-linear, into mediocritan. This is where comes the tragedy of most consultants, business owners, investors, entrepreneurs, and decision makers. Yes, we are fooled by randomness because we tend to mistake the random with the non-random than the other way around. Meaning, we tend to see pattern where there is none than to miss into pattern. Prediction, not narration, is the real test of understanding the world. In this time of change, one day among the learner is longer than the longest life of an ignorant, and who still live after his life has been completed. By the way, reason is not satisfied with obvious facts. Its higher and nobler function is to deal with hidden things. Hidden things need proof, ideas to take away, to switch from predictive methods to non-predictive methods, to stop trying to understand the world and focus on robustness by avoiding some fragility, to shift from trying to understand the future to focus on the present, which is measurable if you have proper role to assure absence of fragility, and the only thing you have to worry about is random event. Ideas to take away, to switch from predictive methods to non-predictive methods, to stop trying to understand the world and focus on robustness by avoiding some fragility, to shift from trying to understand the future to focus on the present, which is measurable if you have proper role to assure absence of fragility, and the only thing you have to worry about is random event. Here in Optionality Profit, we help decision makers, entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, consultant, investor, those who advise decision makers how to make decision under incomplete information, incomplete understanding, and how to build a system that is robust to the unexpected and even benefit from it. And more importantly, how to create an organization that use volatility, variability, stress, error, mistake, option, disorder, has information for making better decisions. You are a dent maker, the creative spirit, the underdog, the resolute, the determined, the indefatigable, the defiant, the outsider, the independent thinkers, the sophisticated, the convex, the fighter, the true believers. Above all, risk-loving. Please subscribe for weekly episode and tour dates. I love to read your comments, my dear friends. Please click below. I'll be very grateful to read your comments.